Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shanique Jeffries, and I'm here with the Autism Support of Alabama, and we are here for Webinar Wednesdays. Today, we'll have Mary Beth Vick, and she will be talking about early intervention, the who, what, when, where, and how of EL services, birth through 3 years old. Today is Wednesday, May 21st at 12 p.m. I thank you all for coming out. If you have any questions, please put those in the chat box and we will be answering those throughout or at the end. If you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. I will be checking the chat throughout the session. I would like to introduce Mary Beth Vick. She has over 25 years of experience working with Alabama's early intervention systems. She has dedicated her career to supporting young children with developmental delays and disabilities and their families. She has held various leadership roles throughout her tenure, most recently providing oversight to Alabama's Part C Autism Initiative. In this role, she has been instrumental in advancing early intervention and identification strategies for young children with characteristics of autism, ensuring they receive the services and support needed during critical early developmental years. Mary Beth is known for her commitment to collaboration, family-centered practices, and strengthening statewide systems to improve outcomes for children and families. Thank you, and I would like to welcome Mary Beth Vick.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, Shanique. I appreciate that. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Mary Beth Vick, and I work with Alabama's Part C system. And I'm here to talk to you all today about the who, what, where, when, and how of EI, early intervention services for Alabama's children birth to 3 and their families. Okay, how did it work? There's my email address. I wanted to go ahead and share that with you all. I do work for Alabama's early intervention system. It's within the Alabama Department of Rehabilitation Services. I understand that you all will receive a copy of this PowerPoint if you so wish. You'll have it then, but I did want to make sure that everybody had my email address just in case there was any contact me. Feel free to do that. Okay, what is Part C early intervention? I say Part C because Part C is the actual law. It's federal law that supports early intervention services for, well, I'll just go ahead and read it. Early intervention provides support and services for infants and toddlers under the age of 3 who have a developmental delay or a medical diagnosis that can delay normal development, which can prevent the child from meeting developmental milestones. And when we say that, we mean like diagnoses of like autism, cerebral palsy, spina Down syndrome. There's a list of diagnoses that will automatically get a child in Alabama's early intervention system. Early intervention supports and services focus on teaching the parent and caregiver ways to help child learn and participate in everyday activities. We are very focused on the family within Alabama's early intervention system. We're family focused before we're child focused. We want to make sure that we're there for the family and what their wants and needs are. Early intervention has 8 core values. When I used to work directly with early intervention programs, and service coordinators would call me and ask me questions about, whether this was something they could provide or do, I always refer to the 8 core values because typically, if you can look at these 8 core values, you will know what early intervention is, and all of your questions will be answered. We're family-centered. Everything is around the family, what the family needs, what the family identifies as challenges. We're there to train and equip the family, the parents, or caregivers. I say caregivers because many times families would like us to work in the childcare environment, daycare, grandma's home. It has to be developmentally appropriate. And I say that in that we have some families who come to us and don't really understand what is developmentally appropriate, but they're concerned about their child and the trajectory of child's development. So we would advise a parent with a child, a 6-week-old, not to worry so much about whether the child will walk. So it needs to be developmentally appropriate based on the child's age at the time of service. It needs to be collaborative. Part C, early intervention, is care of last resort. And so we connect families with services that are needed within the community, and certainly want to collaborate with any program, service, activity that could be supportive of the family. It's individualized, which means, every family's different. It's all about what they want within their routines, within their day-to-day activities. So it'll look different than another plan. Like no two plans are ever alike. I've said routines several times since talking. Routines is huge. We really spend a lot of time talking about what the routines are of the day, what routines are challenging, what routines go well. What is it that you'd like different to have within your day-to-day routines? All of our services are,
Can you share your screen? We're not seeing the PowerPoint.
You can't see the PowerPoint.
No.
Can you see it now?
Yes. If you can make it, yeah.
All right. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And then everything's in the natural environment, and natural environment is defined as where a child typically is. That's home, daycare, grandma's, wherever the child is. It's not a clinic setting. It's always where children typically are. And also it has to be best practice. It has to be evidence-based practice. There needs to be science behind what we provide. In order to be eligible for early intervention services, a child has to qualify based on a 25% delay. So you have to have we have to have an early intervention, 2 evaluation tools, and conduct to confirm that there's a 25% delay in at least one of the areas, the domains on both procedures. So there you have a 25% delay in the speech domain in order to get into early intervention, or to be eligible for early intervention services. So at least one of the following 5-part evaluation procedures have to be administered, and that's the DACY, ELAP, IDA, DP, and Battelle. Those are the evaluation assessments that are deemed eligible for early intervention providers to use for eligibility purposes. It has to be done by 2 different evaluators with different disciplines. Like they have to have degrees from different school programs in order to do the evaluations together. And sometimes the use of the 3rd evaluation is needed just because you got to have a tiebreaker. And if that happens, then you need to have a 3rd discipline come in for eligibility purposes. These are the 5 areas of development that are evaluated with physical. It's just movement. Does the child grasp the rattle? Does the child hold the spoon? Communication, how a child like expresses herself or understands what's being said. Do they vocalize at all? Cognitive is how an infant or toddler thinks, like solves problems, like learns. We look at social emotional, and that's just how a child interacts with peers, with their parents, with others. And then adaptive, like how the child just gets along within routine. They eat okay, or can they dress themselves? How are they at that? So we look at these 5 areas of development. We also can qualify many children based on diagnosis. The diagnosis does have to show that there's a probability of delay, of developmental delay. We have a list of approved diagnosis list, but it grows daily. As you can imagine, we're adding diagnoses all the time. But many many diagnoses will qualify a child automatically, whether there's a delay or not. Eligibility can also be based on informed clinical opinion, and we advise doing this in situations like if a child has a expressive delay, communication delay, but receptively they're really on target, but there's a big gap between the two. We would want early intervention providers to pull in a speech pathologist and write informed clinical opinion for that child so that we can get in and do some work and just see, is there some budding disorder that's coming along? Do we just need to be in there for a little bit just to kind of help the family know what kinds of things to do to encourage the child to actually vocalize? You can only use informed clinical opinion for eligibility purposes, and you can only use it for 6 months, but it is available. Once a child qualifies, we do a voluntary family assessment. And in Alabama, we have chosen the routines-based interview as the assessment that we utilize. It's a structured approach. It's a structured interview that allows us opportunities to really understand what's going on with the family. So we use open-ended questions. We ask, how does your day begin? What are your main concerns? What would you like to see different? Like what would you like to see your child do in 6 months? So we stay focused on times of the day rather than developmental domains. We ask about behaviors, and then we ask, like, why do you think he does that? Why do you think she cries when that happens? So we avoid giving advice during the voluntary family assessment. We just try to listen because during this time we want to hear what the parent thinks needs to happen or needs to know. And we also just really want to know what the parent does understand and does have a need. We want to listen. During the voluntary family assessment, we also use an eco map. We complete an eco map. I loved the eco map when I used to do service coordination because doing this with the family leads the family to believe right away that we are interested in the family dynamic and not just the child. It gives us an early intervention and understanding of just like what the families, who's there to help them, who's in the home, who potentially could help in the home, who does the mom or dad call when there's a problem, like who do you call when there's an emergency. And then it also shares like whether there's a good relationship with family, if there's family then nearby. This is information that's very helpful to early intervention service providers for working with the family ongoing. So once we do that, we have plenty to work from because the voluntary family assessment and the eco map provide us with a lot of information. And by this time, we also know what are the family's priorities. What are their biggest concerns and what do they want to work on first? And what we do is we write outcomes. We use outcomes and goals in Alabama's early intervention system interchangeably, so I say those. But we develop outcomes with the family based on what they have shared with us through the voluntary family assessment, reflecting real life situations, okay, like real life things that are going on. We always base it on a routine. It's always positive in how we write it. And it never looks like it is some developmental item that comes from a test, like Johnny will stack 6 blocks within 5 minutes. That's not what outcomes on an IFSP plan look like. From the time of referral or from early intervention, and we'll talk about Child Find. Child Find is the 1-800 number that families can call, physicians can call, really anybody can call to make a referral. From the date on from that referral date, you have 45 days to determine eligibility, to complete the voluntary family assessment, and to write the individualized family service plan. So that's 45 days. And if we don't do that, then we're out of compliance based on federal law. Once the individual family service plan is written, we have 30 days to provide the service that we've listed. So we said that we're going to provide a speech therapist to come to the family's home twice a month. We have 30 days from the time that the IFSP is written to get that first service delivered. Many people want to know about transitions with a school. Many of our early intervention referrals don't come to us until we're older. We get more referrals on children who are 2 and older than we do babies. So sometimes we write the IFSP at 27 months or around that time. But we always, no matter when we write the IFSP, if it's 27 months or after when we meet the family, we talk about transition to school system. What's going to happen? Where's this baby going to go when he turns 3, when she turns 3? So at 27 months, we have a conversation with the family about, what it means to be referred by early intervention to the Part B system, which is, 3 to 21. That's Part B's the law. And if a family agrees that they'd like for us to notify the local education agency that your child will be 3 coming up, then we do that. By the 33rd birthday, there's a meeting with the Part B professionals to discuss what they might be able to offer for that family if a child qualifies. So if this occurs, the 33rd meeting happens and the family agrees, then that family is guaranteed an IEP by the child's 3rd birthday if the child qualifies. If a family decides that they're not really sure at 27 months that they want to do it, they're just concerned. They may have just heard that their child has a developmental delay or even a diagnosis. It might be just too much. I always told families that if they sign saying that we'll give basic information to Part B, the Part B system, just name, birth date, just demographic information, that if they decide that they would like an IEP by the 3rd birthday, it will happen if the child qualifies. But if they don't allow us to send the information, then they'll have to make their own referral if they decide to. So, that's just, there are some timelines associated with getting a kid in who actually qualifies and the IEP written by the 3rd birthday. There are differences between Part C, which is early intervention, and Part B, which is the school system, 3 to 21. Our services are voluntary. Services are provided from birth to the day the child turns 3. We require an individualized family service plan. We review them every 6 months. Family participation is required. If families aren't involved, then there's no plan. And a service coordinator is responsible for coordinating all EI services listed on the IFS. Part B services are mandated and ensure all services are available for the local education agency. Those services are provided from age 3 to 21. They require an individualized education program. I keep calling it program, but it's program. IEPs are reviewed annually, and the parents, they do participate in the special education process, but there is no designated service for it. So what do we do? What do we provide? In early intervention, we have 17 deliverable services. We are the payer of last resort, as I have mentioned before. Service coordinator is one of the deliverable services. A service coordinator just comes along with the deal. Everybody has a service coordinator. We do have 4 services that are kind of the big 4, the services that we provide with some regularity, and that would be special instruction, which is just a developmental developmental instructor who would go out and work with the family. Speech therapist, a physical therapist, and occupational therapy are the services that we provide the most. There are many times that our families will need other services that may be listed on this slide, and we just refer them to somewhere else. We refer, like for audiology, we would refer to children's rehabilitation services or somewhere else that could test hearing. Who provides early intervention services? Well, the service coordinator is the one that you get. you automatically get an early intervention service coordinator when you're involved with early intervention. The service coordinator makes the initial contact, assists with determining eligibility, assists the family in identifying their needs and developing the IFSP, and then they coordinate the services and the activities and support the family ongoing until the child turns 40 and beyond. We have personnel standards for Alabama Early Intervention System. Standards tell us who can provide the 17 deliverables. It is the expectation within our system that if you do meet personal standards, then you have a global understanding of child development. So much so that you would understand when there is something that's just not right. So we do have personal standards that dictate who can work in Alabama's early intervention system. Where do we provide the services? Early intervention is provided where children and families typically are and when and where support is needed. Natural environment is not just a location. It includes the daily, authentic activities and routines of the family. So we wouldn't see a family in the park unless there was some reason that the family wanted to be at the park. We wouldn't meet a family at McDonald's unless there's some reason that the family needs assistance going out to eat to McDonald's. So it's all done where a family needs the help or where the family wants to go and needs help there. How is early intervention provided? This is my favorite one. So typically when I do this presentation, there's discussion. But I look at this picture and it just speaks volumes to me as a former service coordinator. So in early intervention, there's so many things that I see within this picture, okay? Clearly, we've got an unhappy little fellow here, right? He either doesn't like what he's eating or he doesn't like the consistency of what he's eating. He may have some behavioral issues that are going on, maybe some sensory stuff. This mom seems to be, at least from this viewpoint, pretty patient at this point, but feeding issues are one of the biggest things that early intervention will work on with families. Food aversion and food textures and behavioral issues around food. So this is a picture of a child that we would work with, a child and family that we would work with. And see if we could help get through this routine easier. Sleep. Sleep is a big one. We get a lot, we provide a lot of support and help around sleep routine. We hear from families that they can't sleep through the night. The child won't sleep through the night. The child won't go to sleep. As soon as I lay him down, he wakes up. I mean, we've heard it all. The child's in the bed. I can't get the child out of the bed. You know, he's got his own bed. So this is just, I know, miserable. Like I just, you know, from past experience with my own children, like just sleep deprivation is really hard. And so we really take a close look at how we can help family with this, just to prevent, you know, more burnout, depression, ongoing fatigue, you know, just name it. Anyway, sleep is something that we work very through. This picture cracks me up, even though it's just, I feel so for this family. I mean, how many of us have been there, or we at least know somebody that's been there? But I look at this little fella, and oh my gosh, he's just so unhappy, and this mom looks like she's just, you know, she's kind of checked out. Dad looks like he's completely frustrated. This is a picture in early intervention that we would take very serious. Clearly, you got to identify what's going on with this little fella. But we also need help this family. We really need to take note of what's going on with this family, just to give them some reprieve, give them some help. I mean, pull out that eco map and see where we can get them some respite. So this is the family we would be very concerned about in early intervention. This is a child who's unhappy in his car seat. I wrote a IFSP goal one time, outcome for a family, that they would be able to take their child to Walmart without him screaming bloody murder. I mean, didn't write it exactly like that, but that was the intent. So this mom pretty much said, either, you're gonna all have to help me with this, or I'm just never gonna leave the house, or I'm gonna have to be put on some major amounts of anti-anxiety medication because I am losing it. So, this could be anything. It could be boredom, it could be anxiety, it could be sensory, it could be just, oh my gosh, just not having it. This is definitely something that early intervention providers can help families with. This one is one of my favorites just because I have post-traumatic thoughts, I guess, about a picture like this. I have a son who's 30, almost 31 now, but he didn't walk until he was 18 months old. He was over 18 months old, and I had not started my career in early intervention until he was 2. So I didn't know what I was doing. And he is 6'7" now, and he was always a big kid. Everybody thought he was older than he really is, and he was heavy. And so I look at this little girl and think, we need to get you up. We need to see if we can get you pulling a stand. Because she looks like she's big, and I feel for this mama. So I get tickled when I see this picture, because I think, oh gosh, there's so much I could have known. There's so much I've done differently had I known what I know now. And this is just a collage of what we'd like to see. This little fella's really happy. This little fella's in his car seat, and he seems to be getting along just fine with his dad, and has great eye contact. He's smiling. And this little girl down here on the left is, she's learning to walk. As the little boy, is being swung by his caregivers at the top of the page. The top right, I love this picture. It clearly shows dad, or whoever this man is, making breakfast. And the little ones are, they have an activity. There's something for them to do. And he has figured that out. Okay, so now he's not having them climbing up his leg while he's, making eggs. So, the only thing I would have suggested is that move him away a little bit from the stove. But I thought this is a great picture showing that he is figured it out. So I hope that early intervention helped them. We are in 7 districts in the state. We cover the entire state. There is district early intervention coordinators that disperse the referrals to the state to early intervention providers in all areas of Alabama. This is an infographic that we developed because our early intervention partners, people who refer to early intervention, these are questions that come up all the time. If we just kind of suspect that maybe a child has a developmental delay, can we refer? Yes, you can refer. It doesn't have to be a physician. A parent can call. Anyone can refer to early intervention. EI will make every effort to contact the family within 7 days. We'll leave a message. We'll send a letter regarding the referral. There is no cost associated with early intervention. Our calls may come from a state of Alabama telephone number, and that we have 45 days to determine eligibility. There were a lot of questions around the timelines associated with our service. The child find number is right here. Families can call that 1-800 number, or they can click on the link. If you go to rehab.alabama.gov, you can click on early intervention, and it will take you to that child find link. You can go in and make a referral online, or you can call. So that's the number. I wanted to make sure that I covered Alabama's Part C systems working with our providers and understanding appropriate intervention strategies for children under age 3 who have characteristics of autism. I am working with Alabama's early intervention system to provide oversight to this initiative. We have expanded this initiative it was from birth to 3, and now it's birth to age 5. And it's called Alabama's Autism Initiative. So just really quickly, in 2018, Alabama's early intervention system was like, we got to figure this out. We got to figure out what it is that we need to be doing with families who have children with characteristics of autism under 3. As many of you know, I'm sure that not many children in 3 have a diagnosis with autism. It typically comes later because there's not enough places for families to go to get diagnoses. So we have these important people get together to talk about what it is that we can do with Alabama's early intervention system to make sure that we are providing appropriate intervention strategies for children who have characteristics of autism or autism. So we knew that we needed interventions that were centered within the family, sustainable for community programs, clearly supported by evidence, and feasible for a provider to learn, easy enough for us to go out and work and teach this to not just early intervention providers, but daycare teachers, church daycares, any place where folks are taking care of children. It needed to be agreeable with our core values, and it needed to be able to be provided by multiple disciplines across many different professional groups. We crosswalked what best practice research says, current research of what is best practice for working with young children with characteristics of autism, and then our 8 core values. And what we came up with as a team was the top 5 strategies were these: caregiver implemented intervention, following the child's lead, naturalistic teaching, modeling, and natural reinforcement. These are good developmental practices, no matter what. So we, with Alabama's Early Intervention Initiative, we really have spent a lot of time, resources, and dollars to support really delving into these strategies and making sure that we have people who can actually teach these strategies to providers so that we can build capacity in the state of understanding what's appropriate intervention. Specifically within Part C under age 3, now we've expanded it to 3 or 4-year-olds. The 5 strategies, they include active ingredients of early ASD interventions. They have supporting evidence, and they can be taught easily, like I just said. So this is what I want to leave you all with as I finish up. And just this year, Alabama Department of Rehab, where our early intervention division is housed, has received a Department of Early Childhood grant for 3 years to continue to build upon our autism initiative to provide training and mentorship to childcare providers under the age of 5 that work with children under the age of 5. We have 19 ASD mentors in the state that have been highly trained to fidelity to understand the 5 strategies that we have adopted within Alabama's early intervention system. Every child who comes into our system and who has characteristic of autism, automatically we work with them with the 5 strategies. We have 19 ASD mentors in the state, and what they will be tasked to do is educate childcare service providers and teachers on our strategies, which are naturalistic developmental behavioral interventions that are effective for children with autism and social communication impairments. Our community autism mentors will offer continuous technical support and consultation to local stakeholders, including schools, clinics, and family service organizations. So I wanted to share this with you all because this is something that is coming and that we will have resources available and learning opportunities training, opportunities that some of you may be interested in, or someone that might. And if you do, I would hope that you would either email me or call me at this number. Just feel free. Feel free to give me a call. And then that's my overview today. Jenny?
Hello, thank you so much. And we have about 5 questions that we can see if we can get answered. The first one is to clarify, if the child has already turned 3, then the child has bypassed the age where we can apply to EI, or would they move towards that plan B for ages 3 through 21?
Yes, they would. They do. We work with children up until age 3. And so it would be the local education agency in your area that you could contact. So whoever, look at the neighboring school, and then just call that number and somebody can help you with that. Or you could call the 1-800 number and ask for that information, and they can share the appropriate contact.
Okay. Our next question is, how do we get PCMs to help with getting the assessment? We are getting no support after coming to realize that our child should be getting treatment.
I'm assuming that you mean the primary care physician. Is that correct? I'm assuming that. Okay. And it is a challenge to get many primary care physicians to refer earlier. Now that I say some, okay, some are really good. All right. If you're referring to assessments or screeners, I know many physicians' offices will use ASQ as screeners, and those are really great. Many times they don't take the time, or they don't have the time to talk to the family about those screening numbers before a family will even leave. So I'm not exactly sure that they're always that helpful. Even if there was or is discussion, that's great. I encourage families to, if there's a concern about a child's development, or maybe even specifically autism, is that you can go online, and I mean, there's a screening tool called the MCHAT-R that you can do. And if the scores align, that there might be some area of concern, you can certainly make a referral to early intervention or to the school system based on your own concerns about your child. It doesn't have to be a referral to a physician.
Okay. The next question, our child is already 3, but waiting for the autism evaluation. According to the office, it takes a year before evaluation can occur. We have been on the wait list since February. Is there any way to move this along?
I hate it. I hate to say that. I mean, I wish I could say, oh, here's a number. call this number, and they can help you much more quickly. It is a trend that it takes about a year or even longer for a child to be evaluated. I encourage you to get on every wait list, though. I encourage you, like, if you're on one wait list, just get on another one too. You just never know who might get to the referral first. If there are developmental concerns, I hope that you are receiving services from someone, whether that be Part C, early intervention, or Part B, school system. But yeah, the only advice I would have is just seek out anyone that can potentially help you with that, and call and get on the list.
Okay. The next question, is there support for parents that attend a daycare that may have issues with attempting to accommodate a child with autism?
Shanique, I don't know if how much information you have about the Regional Autism Network. But I imagine that you all have those connections. Anytime that there's a situation where a family is struggling with a daycare situation, like not being able to work out the details, I always refer to the Regional Autism Network for your area to see if you can get connected with someone who might be able to assist with helping that, or maybe connect you with another family that can help you with that. I think that the Regional Autism Network has a lot of information and can zero in on who might be able to help you record this.
Okay, that is the last one that I have posted. If you have any questions, we can go ahead and put those in the chat or in the Q&A section, and we'll go ahead and get those answered because we do have a few more minutes to be on, so we can get those questions answered for you. And I will post the I can post a flyer for the Regional Autism Network because it's throughout the state of Alabama and they're by region. So you will go to the region that for the county that you live in. I thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar Wednesday. That was some information that I know will be helpful to parents, because when you're first getting diagnosed, you don't know where to go, where to turn. And a lot of people are coming in after that, that 3 years old, but a lot of individuals are, children are getting diagnosed before the age of 3. So this is really helpful to them, and then helpful to where to go after the 3 years old of age.
Thank you for asking me to join you all today.
We appreciate you. Appreciate you. We're trying to get information out to everyone so they'll know where to go to get resources for their child. I know there's much more resources from when my child was a child. He's 24 years old now. So there's more resources. We still have a ways to go, but there's more resources than before.
Right.
I don't see any more. Are you able to type in the chat your email and the number that they're able to call? Be able to click it to everyone so they'll see that information. Okay, I'm gonna post it. Okay, it has been posted in the chat, her email address and the phone number where she can be contacted at. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'm gonna say thank you for coming out and helping us get the information out about early intervention. This was very helpful, and I know it will be helpful to other parents. And I just would like to say thank you from Autism Support of Alabama. And we would just like everyone to know to go onto our website, autism-alabama.org, to learn about our programs that we have And we're also on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and we're also on YouTube. And this will be posted on YouTube in about a couple of days. So check out all our social media. We post on things that are upcoming and things we have going on, things throughout the state with autism. So please check out our website and our social media pages for more information. If you have any questions, my name is Shanique Jeffries. I can be contacted at CHENIQUE at autism-alabama.org. I will put my information in the chat also. So if you have any other questions, please let us know. And we appreciate you for getting on and taking the time out of your day. And please look forward to our upcoming webinars. Thank you, and you have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.